Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. Today is episode number 203. Stay tuned. Hello, all my dear friends. How are you today? It's a beautiful day in my neighborhood. I hope it's in yours too. It's winter, but it's beautiful. You know, where was I last? Oh yeah, I was in Costa Rica about 5 weeks ago. Feels like a year ago. And it was warm and it was sunny and almost a little too hot in the afternoon. And now I'm back here and it's cold and sunny. And you know what? If I had to take a preference, I probably would take cold over hot. It feels so much better to me when I go out and I walk and I'm in nature and I'm looking in the woods. But here's what I want to talk to you about today, about where I've been this weekend. And where I was very interesting because it's what I want to talk to you about today. I was at a silent retreat. Have you ever been on a silent retreat before? Well, here's the interesting thing about a silent retreat. Guess what? You don't talk. They call it noble silence. And what I love about this, it's a very Buddhist philosophy. It's in the Buddhist tradition. And you don't have to be a Buddhist to go. And I'm not a Buddhist because I'm talking to you about that. But I do love their philosophy. And I've talked to you a lot about it in the past. And one of the reasons that I like it so much is because it gives you an opportunity to look into your own mind. When we're in our everyday busy life, we really don't have that opportunity to pay attention. And everything that I've taught you for the last 3 years is about training your mind how to pay attention. When I'm in a silent retreat like this, the only thing I can do is pay attention to my mind because there is nothing else going on. So here's the type of schedule that I'm doing when I'm doing a silent retreat. I just want to read you the schedule. This is the way a schedule looks for one day. Time, 7 o'clock, sit. Time, 7:45, walk. Time, 8:15, breakfast. Time, 9 o'clock, sit. And this is the way it goes all day long for 4 days. Sit, walk, eat. Sit, walk, eat. And all we're really doing is we're having instructions on how we can pay more attention to our minds when all we have to do is pay attention to our minds. So I was doing a lot of sitting and walking and reflecting. And one of the things that our teacher was telling us, because she could talk, and what she does is she instructs on the Dharma, which is basically the Buddhist way of how to pay attention to your mind. And one of the things that she was saying that I found so fascinating was the idea of the main reason for meditation is to steady the mind. And the best way to steady the mind, I love that term, steadying the mind. I love it, balancing the mind. That's what she talked a lot about. And so when you can balance or steady your mind, what happens is you can focus your attention on what's actually going on inside of you. And the way that you steady your mind in this tradition is you attach it to an anchor. You can anchor with your breath, you can anchor with your body, you can anchor with what you're hearing. And so anytime your mind goes off, you bring it back to one of these anchors. And the whole point is that when your mind stops going off so much or wandering around, that's basically when your mind is steadied and you feel calm inside your body. And when you feel this calmness inside your body, then you can kind of look around inside yourself. Really interesting. And when you're looking around, basically what you're doing is paying attention to the different senses that are going on inside your body. What you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're feeling. And she calls it the 6 senses because you have your regular 5 senses. But the sixth sense is thinking. And basically, when you find yourself thinking, or when you find yourself doing any of these things and you're off to the races, that's when you bring yourself back into your anchor. Once your mind is steady, then you can just look around inside your mind and see what you're feeling. In any one of these, what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? And when you're thinking, you can just label it thinking. That's all it is. It's just the mind thinking. That's what it does. If you find yourself getting really emotionally attached to the thinking, that's when you bring yourself back to your anchor. Your breath. For me, it's my breath. And when I'm back with my breath and I can honor that, then I can relax and steady the mind. Now, a steady mind sees things very clearly. And in Buddhism, they call it that when you have a steady mind, you can have a wise response. And guess what a wise response is? It's like a mindful management of your mind. It's when you can see things clearly and respond from wisdom. The best way to respond from wisdom is when your mind is steady. And I was thinking about that for all the things that I teach in terms of teaching you how to manage your mind. And for you, one of the main ways that your mind gets unsteady, believe me, there are many ways, but I wanted to relate it to eating. A lot of us have an unsteady mind when we're off to the races with food. So we see something. It's sitting in front of us. That's why I was talking to one of my clients today who wasn't hungry, but she sat down at a board meeting and she saw candy. And guess what happened? As soon as she saw candy, she thought she was hungry. And when she thought she was hungry, she thought she had to eat it. And this comes from going off to the races with believing when your mind starts thinking, as opposed to just labeling it thinking. You believe you're thinking, and it creates this emotional hunger as it did for her to eat the candy. A lot of my clients have these thoughts about when something is sitting in front of them, their mind goes off into believing that they need it, that it's sitting in front of them, it must be meant for them, or they're hearing something else going on and they don't like what they're hearing, and then they see the food sitting in front of them and they think they need it or they want it. Because that's the mind just going off and thinking. We don't realize that it's just thinking. That's what the mind does. Just like ears hear, eyes see, and our mind thinks. Nothing more, nothing less. And when I was doing this mindfulness retreat, it brought me back to the idea of urges. That when we have a steady mind and that we see the thought as thinking and we see what it is, that we don't have to believe it. We can just say thinking. Or for you, when you're eating, you can just say thinking and that you want something to eat. It's like an urge. And then from there, maybe it calms you down just a little bit to relax into what that is. It's just an urge. It's just a thought. And it's interesting when I segue over into eating and I think about urges, that urges just come from your thoughts. That's all. And some of these thoughts are pretty convincing. Just like in meditation, I can remember I was sitting one time in meditation and I started thinking about lunch and what I was going to eat for lunch, because like lunch and dinner are big affairs there. It's the only thing to do other than sitting and walking. So I started thinking about lunch. And then as I started thinking about lunch, then I started thinking about vacation. And my lunch took me to vacation. And then I was thinking about where I wanted to go on vacation. And it took me a while to realize I was just thinking. And as soon as I recognized that, I could label it thinking. And then I can come back to my breath. And then I can steady my mind. And then when my mind was steady, it could make wise decisions. Wise responses. That's what I want for you when you're just in your everyday life and you realize that you're just thinking, that you could just label it as thinking, that you don't have to go off to the races with it. Does that make sense to you? Because for me, it was such an eye-opener. And I'll tell you what opened up my eyes the most is when the meditation teacher started talking about meditation or about living in your life more mindfully, that it's normal for the mind to do what it does. The only thing is that you have to have self-compassion and kindness and bring yourself back. That's it. Like I talk to you a lot about sometimes what happens is that we give into urges or we have a fog or we have a storm, and that the only thing that you really have to do is bring yourself back. And meditation is no difference. I see the same thing when we talk about the philosophy of meditation in the mind. And I think about the philosophy of the mind in everyday life. You're constantly needing to bring yourself back into the present moment. And the present moment is always right in front of you. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling in this present moment? And one of the things that really came out that was stunning in this meditation retreat for me was that everything is impermanent. And that's the insight that you get when you start meditating in this way, is that you see something, or you hear something, or you feel something, or you think something, and then you bring yourself back. And whatever it is that you're feeling or hearing changes. Whatever it is you're thinking changes, because everything, the one thing that we can depend on in this life is that everything is impermanent. It will change. If that's the only thing that we can depend on, that's the thing that we're most afraid of, is change, and that it's not going to last. We talk about in the Buddhist philosophy about grasping and aversion, that when things are going the way we want them, we want to hold on to them. We don't want them to change. And when things are not going the way we want them, we have aversion. We don't want it. We want it to go away. That's the way the mind works. And those are hindrances for us when we want to hold on or we want to push away, because that means we're not accepting with where things really are, what is really going on. When we're meditating, and I'm not really pushing meditating on you right now, I'm just kind of telling you my experience with teaching you the tools of mindfulness in terms of eating and living your life, is that if you realize that everything is impermanent, then all you have is this moment with whatever is going on, knowing that it's going to change. Our meditation teacher said in this is that if we realize when we're meditating for however long we're sitting, and since I was sitting and walking so we call it walking meditation, all I was doing is sitting and walking and watching my mind, is that I could see so clearly how nothing lasts. I would feel an ache in my leg, and I would call it pain. I would label it pain, ache, warm, cold, sharp, dull. And then all of a sudden it just kind of disappeared. My mind went on to something else. It changed. It doesn't always stay the same. Even pain changes. Hearing, it's like I could be hearing something, like the heater was running off and on and off and on. And sometimes I would put my attention on that and anchor in there and just listen to it. And sometimes it would be pleasant or it would be unpleasant. And I would notice, I like it, I don't like it. But when you can do it with a very wise mind, it's like, okay, so you like it. Doesn't matter. It's not going to stay. Okay, you don't like it. Doesn't matter. It's not going to stay either. You start understanding life from a very mindful perspective of what the mind is seeing and how it's reacting. Because the mind has a way of its own unless it's directed. I was really learning this weekend about directing my mind to wherever it is I wanted it to be, right? And I could let it go or I could bring it back. And that's what the mind does. It either goes or it comes back. And no matter what, whenever you're in this mindfulness state, what you're going to notice is that it's going to change and you can depend on it. And if you know that you can depend, that the one thing that you can depend on is change, then what you also know is that if everything is impermanent, that whatever you're reacting to or wherever you're in right now is where you need to be, because it is the only thing that you can depend on is this moment, because it's going to change too. So how do you want to use that in your life this week? How do I want to use it in my life this week? Why am I sharing it with you this week? Because I had so many aha moments when I was in this sitting, walking time where I was so calm. Sometimes you're not so calm, but for me, this time it was quite calm and I had a lot of wise responses. And what I could really see is that everything really does change. And that when you really are in your life and you can feel yourself wanting things to be the way they are because it's so good, or you can see yourself not wanting things the way they are because it's so bad, that you know that it's not going to stay anyway. And that this moment is really all that you have, what is going on. And when you can steady your mind in any given moment, you then are into wisdom and into wise responses, wise reflection. I love that. That's the terms that our meditation teacher was using, was wise reflection and wise response, from steadying the mind, from soothing the mind. I loved it. She said soothing the mind. Think about this, that when you're having an urge, your mind needs soothing. And that's because your mind is off to the races, right? It's gone somewhere. And what I talk to you about is how can you bring it back? How can you allow what you're feeling, calm yourself down, and have wise reflection do I or don't I really want to eat it? It's just a feeling that's going to go away. Your brain tells you it's never going to go away. It's horrible. It's going to last forever. The only way it's going to get better, you better eat it. But the truth is, it is going to go away because everything changes. Nothing is permanent, especially when it comes to the sensations and feelings inside your body, your five senses. They change constantly. And when you can be in a meditation mode like that and actually just watch it, it becomes amazing because that's the way life is. You notice things and they change. So this is what I want you to do for this week. And this is what I'm doing this week based on my silence and my wise reflection, is that I'm watching my mind more closely and realizing that when I am in a state of anxiety, that it's because my mind is not steady and that I can soothe my mind by bringing myself back to, if you're sitting in a seat, that you feel it. Back to the idea that if you're outside, you feel the wind. Whatever it is, wherever you are, bring yourself back into that moment. And when you do, I am here, I am steady, I am sitting, I am breathing. You've just brought yourself back and you have just soothed your mind. Think about this when an urge arises and you want something to eat. Can you just bring yourself back to where you're sitting, if you're breathing, what you're feeling, how strong it feels, and allow it to pass? Because it will. It's the one thing that you can absolutely depend on. This will pass and it will change. It could change everything with you for urges if you're willing to be able to sit with yourself. You think you can do that this week? That's what I want you to try. And the other thing that she mentioned all the time is compassion, self-compassion and compassion. It's part of the Buddhist philosophy. And of course, the most important part is showing yourself kindness. And they have a special kind of meditation in the Buddhist practice called loving kindness. You have to love it. And loving kindness is being able to say phrases to yourself and to be able to wish it to others. And there's a whole specific way that you do it. But for today, what I want to do is I want to teach you a loving kindness meditation that you can just repeat to yourself or you can repeat to anybody else. And I want you to think this to yourself as I say it out loud. And anytime your mind goes off, or if it's in a state of not being kind to you, this is what you can say to yourself. And what I want you to do is just repeat after me to yourself. May I be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May I be healthy and strong. May I be happy and at peace. And may I live a life with great ease. And that's what I want to end this with you today, is for you to be able to say those 3 phrases whenever you feel like your mind needs to be soothed. May I be safe and protected from inner and outer harm. May I be healthy and strong. May I be happy and peaceful. And may I learn to live my life with great ease. And with this, my dear friends, is where I ended today. And of course, these phrases will only help you be kind to yourself. So of course, I don't end this without saying to you, whatever else you do this week, practice those phrases and please, please, please be very kind to yourself. See you next week. Bye-bye. If you've been wondering what it's like to talk to me about urges, cravings, how to make this the very last time that you ever need to lose weight again, or really anything about why or what is going on in your own mind, then all you have to do is go to drdebbutler.com/work with me, and you and I can have a 30-minute talk for free about what's going on in your mind and how my individual coaching program might be the best solution for you. So please go to drdebbutler.com/work with me, and maybe that's the kindest thing that you can do for yourself this week.